Guyana, a journey through time and transformation, the land and its first peoples. On the northern edge of South America lies a country shaped by water, forest, and sky, Guyana. To the west, Venezuela; to the south, Brazil; to the east, Suriname; and to the north, the Atlantic Ocean. Yet despite sharing a continent with giants like Brazil and Colombia, Guyana often feels like a hidden jewel, a place where the Caribbean meets South America, both in spirit and in geography. The land is alive with diversity. Nearly 80% of Guyana is cloaked in dense rainforest, part of the Amazon basin. Here, ancient green stretches endlessly, broken only by rivers that twist and pour toward the sea. Among them, the mighty Essequibo, larger than many countries' waterways, slices through the interior like a vein of life. The Demerara and Berbice rivers, flowing eastward, have long served as trade routes and lifelines. And towering above it all is Kayature Falls, a single thundering drop 5 times higher than Niagara, a symbol of Guyana's majesty and power. But before maps and borders, before European ships ever touched its shores, this land was already home. The first peoples of Guyana, the Arawak, Carib, Warao, and later the Akawayo, Makushi, Patamona, and Wapishana, lived in harmony with the rivers and forests. They did not see the land as something to conquer, but as something to belong to. The Arawak people were among the first to settle near the coast, skilled in farming cassava, fishing, and building canoes that could navigate winding creeks and open sea alike. Their traditions emphasized community, storytelling, and respect for the cycles of nature. The Carib were known as fierce warriors and navigators, settling deeper inland and along riverways. Oral histories remember their strength in defending their territories, as well as their cultural contributions to language, food, and craft. The Warao, dwelling in the Orinoco Delta and stretching into northwestern Guyana, lived a life intertwined with water, fishing, weaving, and shaping a society around rivers and wetlands. And further inland, indigenous groups of the highlands and savannas developed rich traditions of hunting, spiritual rituals, and guardianship of sacred landscapes. Their languages, beliefs, and customs differed. Yet they all shared a worldview rooted in deep respect for the land that sustained them. Archaeological evidence shows that these communities thrived for thousands of years. Their technologies, from cassava cultivation to herbal medicine, were sophisticated, passed from generation to generation. Their oral traditions spoke of spirits in rivers, ancestors in the trees, and sky beings who watched over human lives. Nature was not separate, it was family. These first peoples were also the original architects of Guyana's diversity. They traded with each other across long distances, exchanged ideas, and created networks that connected rivers to savannas, coastlands to interior. When Europeans eventually arrived, they found not empty wilderness, but societies with deep knowledge, established trade routes, and cultural complexity. Even today, indigenous peoples remain the cultural heartbeat of Guyana. They make up nearly 10% of the population, living in communities spread across the interior. Villages in regions like Rupununi and Barima-Waini still practice traditional crafts, weaving hammocks, making cassava bread, carving tools from wood and stone. Their languages, though endangered, are kept alive in songs, ceremonies, and the teachings of elders. In recent years, indigenous leaders have stepped forward as defenders of Guyana's rainforests, not just for their communities, but for the planet. The forests they have safeguarded for generations now form part of the world's largest carbon sink, vital in the fight against climate change. Through tradition, they have become modern guardians of one of Earth's greatest treasures. The story of Guyana begins not with colonies or oil fields, but with these peoples who looked at the rivers and forests not as wealth to be extracted, but as life to be cherished. They remind us that before Guyana became a nation, it was a home, and in many ways it still is.